afternoon. This is Barry Goldsmith, Warning Coordination Meteorologist at the Weather Service here in Brownsville, serving the Rio Grande Valley. And I know it's a scramble today that we got this up, but we wanted to do a webinar to get everybody on the same page regarding additional heavy rainfall and flood potential over the next several days. So let's get started with the information. So here's the overview of the event. So there's a slow-moving upper-level disturbance over South Texas and the western Gulf of Mexico that will move very slowly across Texas into northeast and northern Mexico over the next few days, and will continue to pump deep tropical moisture across the valley all the way through the coastal bend until July 9th. An additional 4 to 8 inches of rainfall with locally higher amounts is expected. And that will be on top of what you're already seeing here in this quick graphic of what's fallen so far. And I direct your eyes to the areas near Harlingen and out towards the Mercedes, Elsa, Weslaco East, Indian Hills, even towards Monte Alto area, and then some pockets here near Rainfall and Port Mansfield. We estimate by radar 4 to 6 inches of rain. And although I haven't seen any photos from the Santa Rosa, La Feria, Mercedes, Weslaco, Indian Hills area, I suspect there was flooding there. I will show you a photo of flooding from Port Mansfield a little while ago. You can see Harlingen. So in this dark blue area, we think 4 to 6 inches of rain has already fallen today. Much of that fell at a rate of 2 inches per hour for a couple of hours. Now, the favored timing of the events coming up appears to be late night through early afternoon in most of these flood-prone areas at the right. But it could continue into mid to late afternoon each day toward the coast, mainly east of Highway I-69E, that is US 77. And that would include the Brownsville, east of Harlingen, Rio Hondo, out towards Port Mansfield and the Island area. So again, I'll change this slide when we send the slides out to everybody. So just a quick comparison. So far today, we've gotten this picture in, at least from Port Mansfield, the typical nuisance-type flooding, 1 foot, 1.5 feet of water. It might be encroaching on this mobile trailer right here. And then to the right, this was June 24, 2019, when we had 8 to 15 inches of rain between Rainfall, Harlingen, out towards Santa Rosa area, and the east side of Weslaco. So a comparison could be made between 2018 and what's going on this week, but I like to say all situations are different. But if you're looking for some preparedness reasons, you might want to look back at the 2019 flood in June and the 2018 flood in June as well, just to give you an idea of what things could look like in some of our more targeted poor drainage areas. So here's the expected additional rainfall through Friday. Again, there could be higher amounts in some areas, but you'll notice a pretty big swath of 6 to 8 inches. That includes the McAllen Metro, as well as over here towards Weslaco and Mercedes. And then another area of potentially 6 to 8 inches, including Rainfall, up towards the King Ranch. And a pretty wide swath of 4 to 6 inches in most other areas of the valley, with the exception of down here at Brownsville, where we saw rain today of about 1 to 1.5 inches, and maybe another 3 to 4 will fall between now and July 9th, which is Friday. Now, some locations, when you add all this together, you're looking at more than 10 inches of rain. But the key here is flooding will be determined by rainfall rate, rainfall total, and poor drainage. And when you combine poor drainage locations that receive 2 to 3 inches per hour for 2 or more hours, you will have 3 or more feet of water depth. And we saw that in 2019, and we saw that in 2018. We even saw that a little bit with Hurricane Hannah's event and the feeder bands behind it in 2020, which was in late July. Our target areas right now include the Mercedes, Weslaco, Donna region, which is where we saw that big blue ball of 4 to 6 inches earlier today. And then Harlingen to Rainfall, also an area of locally very heavy rain, and definitely we had some minor flooding there. I don't have photos to show it. And then we're concerned about McAllen Mission Far based on this forecast. If it verifies that we get the rainfall rates 2 inches per hour for 2 hours or more, that pretty much leads to 2+ feet of water depth in poor drainage areas. And that could happen in the most populated regions of the valley, in that McAllen Mission, Far, Edinburgh, and San Juan area. So be aware of that. Don't just think that because we have the heavy rain over here in Westlake Mercedes and over here in Harlingen and Ravenville that McAllen Metro is off the hook. They're not off the hook. Brownsville will probably get some minor flooding too, but right now we're crossing fingers that Brownsville doesn't get slammed. Same goes for Los Fresnos, same goes for Port Isabel. Yes, it will rain. Yes, there'll be some nuisance flooding. But in terms of the photos you saw before, especially 2019 and 2018, that potential is in those areas that we've mentioned before and shown here at the bottom. So the excessive rainfall outlook is what triggered this webinar today. The areas outlined in red have the greatest potential for flash flooding. This is for day 2, meaning Wednesday, July 7th. But notice this map may be repeated on Thursday and potentially Friday, depending on the evolution of not only the upper level system feeding on the moisture, but individual clusters or complexes of thunderstorms that generate boundaries that set off new activity day after day. In that regard, it could start looking like June 19th to 22nd, 2018. So we don't want to use that as a direct comparison, but the potential is there. And the coastal bend had quite a bit of flooding then too. So we're looking at a lot of repeat in terms of aerial coverage of this. The situation favors these clusters forming in the coastal bend of the brush country up in this region in the evening into the midnight period, and then working south on boundaries late at night into the following morning into Brooks and Kennedy County, and ultimately reaching some of the population of the Rio Grande Valley, including a large part of it. Edinburgh, McAllen, especially we're concerned with the Westlake, Mercedes, Harlingen, Ravenville area that got plastered today with the heavy rain, getting a lot more. So your timing would be late night, meaning overnight, into late morning or early afternoon, and then there could be some sliding boundaries moving eastward like they did today that would then get east of Interstate 69 East, or we like to call it US 77, heading toward the coast. So the takeaways, once again, known flood-prone areas are at highest risk from flooding. Those key targets for resource deployment following today's rains would include Westlake, Mercedes, Indian Hills, and Harlingen, Ravenville. And we've done this dance before the last 3 years, so you kind of know the drill. But additional localized heavy rains repeating in other poor drainage areas, such as in the McAllen Metro and Edinburgh area, could create significant flood issues from tomorrow through Friday. So be aware of that. And then 3+ feet of water depth is likely when the heaviest rainfall rates, meaning 2+ inches per hour for a few hours, occur over known poor drainage locations. We have seen this every year since 2015. Actually, we didn't have it in 2016 or 17. It was 15 we had it, 18, 19, and 20 we've had it. The longer and stronger the rain, the higher the water depth. Yes, we could see 4 or 5 feet of water in a worst case scenario, but we're not forecasting that right now. And our confidence overall is fairly good. It's high on additional heavy rainfall and local flooding with areas of 3+ feet of water depth. We think we'll see that. But the confidence is low on exactly where that will be. I mean, I can't say it's going to be Harlingen, Ravenville, Westlake, Mercedes, Indian Hills, or possibly McAllen Mission. We'll know more when we see these individual clusters of thunderstorms or systems of thunderstorms develop over the next 2 to 3 days.